William, you can hear us?
I can hear you perfect. Thank you.
Now I got a few seconds on wait. All right. Hi, if it's 5 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. You want to stand and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. William Lindquist.
Present.
Present. Online. David Howard, present. Steve Foss.
Here.
And Brian Freeman. Here. I don't need to go over staff present or anything that's written on that. Okay. Approval of the minutes of the preceding meeting. So the minutes of the February 13th meeting are attached.
May. That was last. This was last.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is it.
My bad. It all look the same. That's what it's like. Tell me. Well, I don't think I have that one.
Not already.
It is May.
Yeah.
Okay, minutes from the May meeting. Approval of those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion. Sorry. We have a motion.
Make the motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Brian had already seconded it.
I'm sorry. Could you
Steve
repeat
made the
that?
motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
Okay, approval of the February minutes. We'll do roll call. William,
I approve.
Steve,
Yep.
Brian. Yep. And I'm a yes. I don't think they included that in mine. I don't know. Can we share?
Yeah. Are you looking for the agenda?
Yeah, I'm looking for the agenda. I guess I'm just good with this one.
Yeah, because this.
Okay.
That was the main one.
Okay. All right, so tonight we have a variance, the variance for accessory building requirements. Staff, do you want to go over that or update us on that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Sherman, Planning and Zoning Director. Yes, tonight we have a application for the section of our zoning ordinance that limits the size of accessory structures in R1 zoning. This property is a zoned R1 on 155th Street. The surrounding properties to this property is R1 also. In the R1 zoning district, 900 square feet is the maximum size that you can have. This structure is 1,600 square feet. They are not asking for anything larger than that. So within the staff report, I just kind of went down and listed kind of some of the narrative. It's a new home under construction. This is a brand new accessory structure. It didn't go through the permitting process. So it was built without a permit and without plan review. The size of some of the discussion was the size of the parcel, but looking back in past planning commission, they had intended for R1 to be capped at 900 square feet. It didn't matter the size of the lots if it was. So when they developed the accessory structure language, they kept it to the RO, which is the large estate lots. If you're zoned RO, you can exceed the 900 square feet, but at R1 and lower, they start at 900 and go smaller. The setback is okay with this structure. It's behind the front building plane. Its main item is that it's larger than the 900 square feet. I've listed some of the criteria here that we are to adhere to by statute. And I don't have to go through every one of these, but there doesn't appear to be any extraordinary condition. It probably won't adversely affect the immediate. There's one property owner to the south. There isn't any indication of hardship since it was initiated by the owner contractor, meaning it's not something that was pre-existing or some evidentiary statute that prohibits it. You know, if it had gone through the proper process, this would have never been built the size it was built. It's proposed is not likely to have any other adverse side effects. And then the last one is, it was the intention of the planning commission and the city council at the time they created this standards for R1 to keep accessory structures capped at 900 square feet. As far as anything else goes, there isn't any other large structures around this. In other words, all the single family lots just to the south, their accessory structures are small. The site just directly south of this one doesn't have a large accessory structure either. It's in around the 250 to 300 square foot range. It's farmland to the north and to the east. It's all county in that direction too. It's not city. You know, this property rests on the edge of the city limits. I think that's about it. It's a pretty straightforward item for staff and the applicant.
Staff's recommendation.
We don't recommend approval just because there's no undue hardship. You shouldn't be able to create your own hardship through your own actions. But with that, you know, we don't recommend approval or denial. We just don't recommend moving this one forward.
And do we have property owner here or builder?
Builders here. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, both.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, okay, I'm Dan Lynch, Lynch Real Estate, Victus Builders, and so we bought this parcel and, you know, we had talked about it, is it the city, is it the county, and we, you know, it bounced back and forth between the two, but we
Sorry.
gotta get.
Sorry, could you press the little button on there so the person?
We good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I talk pretty loud anyway, so I thought everybody could hear me. So anyway, we bounced back and forth a little bit, like Leavenworth County inspects the septic tank and that, but if you go back to the original plot plan that we turned in, you'll see the outbuilding was on that plan. Because originally the fellow that's buying the house from me, he wanted us to go ahead and put in the accessory building, so it was, and Jim kind of come in, I think he was, you know, we had another inspector before Jim came in. And so had we done it initially, we would have been approved. But during the process, what had happened was the guy says, hey, you know, I don't want you guys to do that. I got an Oklahoma barn builder who's going to do it. Is that okay if we have somebody else come in and do that on your guys' land? I said, you know what, I don't care if you do it. You can do it. Just understand that it's at your expense and not mine. And so what had happened was when that guy came in, did not come up and get a building permit. But on the original plot plan, if you go back to when we turned in, you actually see the building is on there. And so the intention, which the city approved that plot plan, right? They said that's okay. And again, that was before Jim. And I understand that, you know, when new people come in, they go and actually read the regulations and I understand how that stuff works. But had we known even this was even a possibility, we would have come to you guys a long time ago before they ever even built the building, because we didn't know that. There's probably 10 houses on 155th that have larger buildings than what this one is. You know, there was one that just sold right across from Kelly's up there that has 2 outbuildings on it, and it's an acre and a half. And the outbuildings are way over the size. I get it, we're grandfathered in. And I understand why you guys have a regulation and all that, but this is 4.5 acres. So somebody that buys something that large is going to want to be able to do something like this. And it isn't like he built a crazy size on 4.5 acres. It's only a 40 by 40. And again, right from the get-go, David and Jim, we would have actually permitted it had we been the guys who were doing it. And on top of everything else, this is the fellow that he called the Oklahoma barn builder that actually has been on TV and taken everybody's money and all that stuff. So it's even gotten even worse for him, and I feel for him. So, you know, we are asking that you guys approve this 40 by 40 because in addition to that, he got totally scammed. So, and so I submitted a letter along with this, and in addition to asking on the variance, I think the city actually, one of the things, maybe go back and look at the rules and say, because municipalities look at the size of the lot and determine the size of the outbuilding based upon the size of the lot. And the future, this one obviously will be on that. And sorry completely about the whole process. It was never our intention to try to do the right thing, but this is one that just it just happened the way it happened. Hopefully I explained enough of the circumstances so that you guys understand what happened here. Jim, appreciate everything you do too. You don't get to see me every day. You're going to see Dennis, but I'm the guy behind the scenes. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I do think this is a public hearing. So you might want to open this up for, I know there's nobody here. You might open it up for anybody with the public that wishes to speak, and then you can see.
One of the things that happened is obviously people know me, so everybody was reaching out to me that's the property owners around, and they were going, "Damn, what's this?" And I was explaining to them what it is, and they're like, "Well, I think that's kind of crazy." And I'm like, "We need to, but understanding there's got rules and regulations, and that's why we're here today." But they actually talked to me, so they called.
Okay. Yeah, so let's open it up for public comment.
Yeah.
Since you're the only one else here.
You got the
to say.
I'm Dennis Mills. I'm the builder on the property, but just to echo what Dan was saying, had no intentions on this going the way it is, but yeah, like he said, the potential buyer for the property did do this on his own and decided not to go with us to build the shop. But we did, like he said, turn it in. I turned it in on the plot plan. I had Joe draw it up on there to scale as a 40 by 40 on the original plot plan that we turned in. And it was our intentions at that time to build the shop for him and go through the process. But then at some point, I'm not sure when, the potential buyer, said he wanted to go with a different contractor for the shop. So we just handed that off to him and cautioned him, hey, you need to get, I told him you need to get a permit. He goes, I know this guy's built in Basehor several buildings and this and that. And I said, okay, that's you're doing it. So we're out on the deal, but I agree with Dan. It doesn't seem like it's an awful thing to have that size of a shop on 4.5 acres where it's situated at in town and, or just on the very edge of town. That's pretty, if you have any questions for me, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Comments from you guys or any other comments from staff?
Not really. I think, it was detailed in the plan review, a permit was required. So I think they acknowledged it was before my time, but the GBA was doing the plan review and they made the comment about the size on the plan review. It's comment actually number 1 of the single family home permit. It says, accessory structures require permits, please, 200 square feet. Talks about the sizing. The only other thing I can think of is, you know, it does fit in the RO zoning. So just to clarify to it's, so the city code has set up tracks that are appropriate for the size. So we have R1 is designated a certain, for like dwelling size, lot size, accessory. RO is the estate lot. So if you do have like a 2-3 acre lot, then that's the appropriate zoning where you can build a really large accessory building. It relates off to the acreage you have, but I know it doesn't apply to this one here. It's all R1, but those are just some in the future, you know, to help you out.
Is any of that property gonna get rezoned? Like to?
Well, we haven't received any application to rezone the property. I don't, I am
mean,
actually,
Who, do you know who owns the rest of?
I was gonna say, I know Dan owns all the
Okay.
property.
You own to the east and.
Yeah, so the property that's directly to the north is owned by Robert Kirkmeyer. He owns a 2-acre tract on the other side of Donahue, and he bought that so that he could maintain his view and not get a bunch of single family houses on it. And then the property to the east is owned by John Bonet. And John will put that into small lots and has talked to me about, hey, you want to do that? So that's something that is going to happen maybe in the future, but right now it's still, that's what we're doing. Okay.
So, yeah, so you own, so I guess I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
You own east of.
So I own the 4.5 acres that's directly the outlying piece there.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
4.5 acres of that. Okay.
Yeah. Where she was just at.
And that,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
but that's, yeah.
Yeah, that piece right there. And then John has the second L to the east and Robert owns the larger piece to the north or the other side, to the north of my lot.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And question for Jim, is all that is zoned R1?
Yes, hopefully with, and I'll just take it, with Alex and I on board now that we like to, and it would help the applicants. I would have spoke up if somebody was taking a large tract like that as R1. Why not just do RO? There's not a monetary charge that's more expensive. I would have encouraged them not to do R1 because that really locks in. RO is our entry level category. I would have gone with that because it's actually perfect for what they're thinking of, large lot, kind of rural feeling. R1 is, yeah, you can have a 70-foot wide lot by 120 deep, you know,
Yeah.
which is not commensurate with that open area.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
anything yellow you see is R1.
So in the future, those lots, I mean, they're considering doing small lots in the future for R1?
The track that Mr. Lynch,
The
yeah,
one we're talking about that's gonna, on the other side,
Yeah.
the east side, the L.
Yeah,
It will go in, okay.
I think I see it, but
The L-shaped lot that John Bonet has, that's the intention. That's gonna go into the small lots, very similar to what's at Highland Downs right now. And then Robert has no intention. I mean, he's gonna keep the road cropping up, he's a doctor who wants to make sure that that kind of stays the way it is. So time, we change that, not even change that, but I talked to him just the other day and that's what he told me. So.
sure. Okay.
Jim, I'm interested. I think in our packet, you said that this had happened one other time.
I think that was actually listed on, I think their comments.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Well, I'm sure, I mean, in my career, accessory structures and fences are like and signs, like the top 3 hit lists of variances.
You want to speak to that, Dan? Okay.
We actually have done this one other time, sorry.
Sure.
And we got it, we just through the city of Basehor, it's Kirby Walker, which is his father-in-law owns Baker Towing. And we built an accessory building that was, we moved it through the city. Again, Jim, appreciate what you do. He's just reading through the rules and regulations that somebody else didn't read it the same way, and I get it. So On 4.5 acres, like, if you would have said, hey, this is gonna be a problem, I would have never in a million years thought it would have been a problem, so that's why the red light to me, so.
What, Dan, when was that, recent one done? How long ago?
That's what I was getting ready to look that up, but I just wanted to speak a little bit on his coattails on that because it was, I think it was on 100. I can't even remember the address, but it's 156, 2630, maybe 156, but and also, you know, when they asked me to turn in the plans for this 40 by 40 that we didn't build, I got the plans from the buyer to submit, and I thought nothing about it because of our experience over there on 156th Street, because that was a 30 by 40, a 1,200 square foot, and the lot was relative. I mean, it was. I don't think it was even 2 acres, honestly. It's right on the corner there. Yeah, I can look up the address, but that's kind of where our thought process was going when we, you know, when they wanted us to submit that, and I just didn't think it was going to be an issue just because of what had happened a couple of years before that. I'd say 2 years or less. Okay. Yeah.
So Jim, this plot plan, it was submitted and not approved, or was there, I'm confused at like this original, they were saying.
Yeah, so it was submitted. This is the plot plan with the building permit for the dwelling.
Yeah,
Yes, and then this is what they showed
yeah. And then what happens like when you see an accessory building that's too big, or is somebody?
and that's what
like
GBA did. They flagged it for
Yeah.
a review for zoning and building permit. You know,
Okay.
it wasn't part of the single family process.
Gotcha.
When was that?
May of this year.
Okay.
The house permit is still under construction, so
It was May when it was flagged.
GBA, yeah, so we had a third party because there wasn't a
Right.
building person, so George Bush Associates was conducting plan review and field inspections for the city of Basehor. And they were doing plan review. They do plot plan review and they do building permit plan review for the structure. So,
yeah,
but it's common. I mean, to support that, it's pretty common to throw on their future accessory. You know, it just when you have eyes on it, it's nice to have somebody looking at the time. So
when was this actually constructed then?
It was the end of the summer when I was coming out to do a roughing inspection. I discovered the building there. So I'd say 3 months ago.
So what happened with this Oklahoma builder? I'm just curious. Like, what's the story on that? I mean, I don't know if I recall. Like,
Oh my, yeah, it's been all over the news. This guy came and like they're all over. I mean, what he does is he gives people a really inexpensive price. And so like the construction of this building was gonna be like $4,000, or no, it was even less than that. And it was with concrete, with the door and everything else. And then he takes their money and he keeps taking the people's money like a profit scheme, keeps going down the road. And doesn't do it like a couple out in Target I see that we know too, $110,000 that he took from them. And it's been on, news and everything else. I'm sure Jim's probably seen it. It's been a bad deal. I mean, attorney generals and all that from the state of Oklahoma, there's several states are involved.
so who actually owns this then? Who's the?
Right, and it's not because I'm running it as a property, so the building itself, how it's constructed was fine, but it's just unfortunately. Right? So it's another one to run it, but and obviously they're not supposed to finish it. This is going on, but anyway, which we'll do. It's just a bad situation. Yeah.
Pete, you need to chime in tonight?
Mr. Chairman, Pete Evans, Special Counsel. You might want to close public hearing too at some point. Unfortunately, the law doesn't give us much latitude when it comes to variances. Kansas state law says there are 5 elements you must find are not offended in order to give a variance, and it's very rigid. And I understand the situation here. Were it me, I'd probably rezone the property to RO to bring it into compliance. But I think with, at least according to the staff report, 3 of the 5 elements have not been met. I think you're gonna have a difficult time approving a variance.
Any other comments? William, I haven't asked you.
Oh, thank you. I don't have any comments.
Okay. Anything else from you guys? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Any other comments?
I have a question. So
Okay.
what happens if they want to rezone it and can he rezone this property at R0?
I would think that this would be a good candidate to be an RO
Yeah.
zone property, especially with the intent that the northern tract around it doesn't appear to be developing.
Yeah,
It meets the RO intent of that open lot area larger than, you know, a third of an acre.
so what's that process like?
It just goes before the Board of Zoning Appeals. Sorry, my apologies, the Planning Commission.
Right,
Then it's basically a consent, it's just stamped by the city council. They could pull it, of course, and discuss it, but it'd be highly unlikely that the city council.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about this. We do have an avenue to where they can keep the structure and.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, does the city have like fines for doing this? Like,
we have small, yeah,
I mean, I don't know if there's,
I don't travel much in those waters much.
Yeah.
I like to resolve things up there.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if, they had been fined or.
No, I have not.
Okay,
I prefer to do what we're doing here.
sure,
Levying citations and fines.
Right.
I never, my career have gotten anywhere with that.
gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, Chair, recognize you, sure.
yeah,
Go ahead.
come on up.
Is it possible for you guys to allow it to happen with the promise that we will actually go through and get the RO zoning? I have no problem doing that either, but these guys are gonna be coming into closing here soon. And I don't have any problem if that's the avenue that we have to go down. And I mean, I'll go down that road. I just want to make sure that we can keep moving forward. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't think you have the power to say kind of a variance,
Right.
but I think you have the power to continue. And as long as this is pending, then there's been no decision made.
Yeah,
And we can just have it penned until they change the zoning, then dismiss
Sure.
the appeal.
So as opposed to denying or
Right.
not approving, we could table.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'd say
and I
maybe
think,
60 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think we get where we need to be.
Okay.
How does that affect them?
I don't think it'll affect them.
That's.
Yeah.
There's no citation or anything like that.
And it won't affect me, if I'd rather work with somebody with that happening than,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we'll be fine. Thanks, Pete. That's a great, that's a great suggestion. I appreciate it.
Yeah. William, let me ask William real quick. William, do you have anything else?
No, I don't actually. That sounds like a great solution. In fact, I'd like to make a motion to put this on hold for 60 days.
Okay, we have a motion to table for 60 days.
I'll second that.
Who was?
Second was Steve. All right, we'll have a vote. Steve,
Yes, table.
William,
Yes.
Brian
Yes.
and David, yes. With no other business before us, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
My second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, William.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I think we're gonna get you where you need to be. Yeah, I will. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to meet you.